I'm going to give you a completely fresh YouTube-style script that builds a commentary-driven narrative around the Las Vegas pre-race penalties, without rehashing the source line by line. I'll mix analysis, hot takes, and big-picture implications, with plenty of personality. Let's dive in. A quick note, this is not a recap of every detail, it's an interpreted take that explains why these penalties matter for teams, the sport's integrity, and the fan experience. If you want, I can tailor the tone to more casual or more formal after we test this out. Hey everyone, today we're talking about a move that never happens quietly in NASCAR, penalties handed down before a big race. For Cup Series teams got the boot for multiple failures during pre-race inspection in Las Vegas, and the fallout is bigger than you might think. What makes this interesting is not just that penalties exist, but what they reveal about pressure, standards, and the delicate balance teams chase between performance and compliance. In my opinion, when NASCAR tightens the screws at the start of a weekend, it signals two things: first, a commitment to fair play, and second, a recognition that even small cracks in process can tilt a race weekend in unpredictable ways. First big idea, the penalties are about process, not just final speed. The car chiefs, the people who oversee every nut, bolt, and measurement, were ejected. That's not a slap on a single component, it's a statement that the entire inspection chain matters. What this really suggests is, NASCAR is not just policing outcomes, who wins, but guarding the integrity of the whole system, how you get to the outcome. If you take a step back and think about it, you realize this is the sport saying, we're not letting the risk of a fast lap eclipse proper procedure. From my perspective, the ejections matter beyond the four names. It sends a message to everyone in the paddock: you can be fast, but you must also be compliant. That's a tough line to walk in a sport where margins are razor thin and teams chase every hundredth of a second. What people don't realize is how much of racing's drama rests on the unseen checks, the pre- and post-race rituals that ensure what we'll finally see on track isn't a disaster waiting to happen. These penalties are a reminder that speed without safety and standards is a house built on sand. Second big idea, penalties ripple through the team lineup and race day strategy. For teams lose pit selection for the 267-lap event. In a sport where pit strategy can swing a winner, that's not a minor inconvenience, it's a legitimate strategic handicap. What this really shows is how NASCAR blends discipline with competition. You're punished in a way that affects on-track decisions, not just morale or reputation. A detail I find fascinating is how a single inspection ruling can loosen or tighten a team's risk tolerance for pit stop timing, tire choice, and even when to push for track position. This isn't just about penalties, it's about how teams recalibrate under new constraints on a single Sunday. If you zoom out a level, this kind of penalty structure reveals a bigger trend in modern motorsports, governing bodies using process enforcement as a core sporting tool, not just a punitive lever. It keeps outcomes honest in a world where data and telemetry are so powerful you could over-engineer a win. From my point of view, the real question becomes, can teams adapt quickly enough to these governance moves while still pursuing peak performance? The teams affected, Penske, Corlig, and Hendrick, will have to rethink their weekend choreography, not just fix the car. Third big idea, the names tied to the penalties carry weight, but the broader implications matter more. For car chiefs out of Las Vegas could be perceived as isolated incidents, or as a trend signal about pre-race controls tightening. What this highlights is a bigger pattern: the sport's governance is learning to respond to the increasing complexity of a modern Cup Series operation. If you take a step back, you might see NASCAR nudging teams toward a more rigorous internal culture, not just to appease officials, but to protect fans who want a fair competition and teams that want sustainable success, built on consistent processes rather than lucky failures. Deeper insight: what does this mean for the season ahead? These penalties strip away some early season momentum for affected teams, but they also reset expectations for everyone else. It's a reminder that the sport, more than ever, rewards those who couple speed with discipline. The larger implication is a shift in how teams allocate resources: more investment in compliance, more time and money spent on the inspection pipeline, less reliance on "we'll fix it later" mentality. If you look at past seasons, the teams that create robust internal checklists tend to weather penalties better, because they've institutionalized adherence to standards rather than treating it as an afterthought. A final thought to leave you with: every penalty unearthed a conversation about what fans value. Do we prize raw speed at all costs, or do we want a product where the process is as entertaining and trustworthy as the finish? In my opinion, the Las Vegas incident is a reminder that the sport is constantly negotiating that balance in real time. And for viewers, the takeaway isn't just who wins the next race, but how the sport preserves the idea that the competition is earned, not engineered. If you're curious, here's a quick recap of the key takeaways in one breath. Penalties signal the primacy of process, impact race day plans through pit strategy, and push teams toward a culture of compliance that could redefine how teams build competitive careers in NASCAR. Before we wrap, a couple of questions for you. Do you think penalties like this actually improve the quality of racing, or do they risk slowing down the sport's progress? Which team do you expect to rebound fastest after a setback like this, and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's break down the implications together. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more analysis, and I'll see you in the next video with a closer look at how pre-race governance evolves across the season.